Welcome everyone. Today on Industry Icons, we have the pleasure of interviewing Lionel Cruz. He's a seasoned broker out of Hudson County, New Jersey. He's been in the industry for a long time, and today he's going to teach us what he's learned along the way. Let's check it out. Welcome everyone to Industry Icons. Today I'm joined with Lionel Cruz. He's a real estate broker out of Hudson County, New Jersey, one of the hottest counties in the entire state. Today he's going to tell us how he broke into the industry and how he's thriving in the industry today. So Lionel, thank you so much for joining us today.
Yeah, thanks for inviting me, man. It's been a while. I see you like once a year now, so it's good to be here.
It's difficult for us to get out of the office, but we're trying.
Yeah.
Good. So Lionel has been in the industry now for how many years?
14 in June. I make 14 years.
Nice, man.
Yeah.
Wow, that's incredible, man. How did you first break into real estate?
So the reason I got my license is, I'm sure you heard the story a lot, is bad experiences with other realtors.
Yeah, you're not the first agent to say that.
So that was it. I had a passion for real estate. I grew up in New York City. I bought my first property in Manhattan for about $55,000. It was a co-op.
Wow.
In 1998, 99, I think it was. I bought it from like one of my best friends, and I sold it for $205,000. I remember walking away with a check, 130 grand. And I was like, wow, this is great. I said, I got to get into real estate. So that's when I moved to Jersey. I was working in Jersey, corporate America. And the first city I moved was Newark. I heard Newark was going to,
You're a little too early.
Exactly. So I bought my second property in North Newark, 07104, Mount Prospect. And same thing again, sold it, made a profit. And the service man from the realtors I was working with, even the one in Manhattan, like he wouldn't even show up to the showings. Buyers would show up at the door. I was the one letting them in, showing them around.
Oh, wow.
And I remember he walked away with like a $9,000 commission check. So I was like, you know what? Maybe I should look into getting my license. So after Newark, that's when I started going to school. 2006, I went through Century 21 Atlantic back then, George Castro, and got my license, and the rest is history, I guess, right?
Yeah. How was that first year? Did you think, it's easy, all you gotta do is open doors? Was it really that easy?
I think the one thing that helped me was I was already from a sales background, so it was kind of easy for me to work with people. I think the toughest part was, so I grew up in Manhattan in apartments my whole life. I had no knowledge about houses. I didn't know about gas meters, electrical meters, oil tanks. I actually learned about oil tanks like further down my career, and what a problem it could be. Basically, that was probably the hardest part. I was working 7 days a week because I wanted to be really good. I wanted to learn, and I actually started out pretty good. Like I had contracts right away. I just didn't know how to type up the contracts, right? I didn't know about verbiage, provisions. I didn't know nothing like that. Financing was actually pretty hard for me.
Was it really?
Yeah.
In 2006?
In 2006, and I know it was a lot easier, but I just didn't understand, FHA and all these different loan types.
Yeah.
So I've always worked with guys that have been in the field for a very long time, and a lot of them, George Castro, Joe Del Sol.
Yeah, a lot of good guys came out of that era.
Exactly. So they're still friends of mine to this day.
At what point did you kind of say, all right, well, this is the right industry for me? Was it immediately as soon as you entered into being a real estate agent, or did it kind of click later on that says, there is no going back for me?
Yeah, I think I really loved it. I had a passion for it from the very beginning, especially with the property in Manhattan. And, I always saw the potential. It was just, getting on track, or, what's the next step, right? Because, obviously, you're in it for the people. It's gratifying, right? Especially with first-time home buyers, which is still my biggest thing. But the money,
there's a business
potential,
somewhere.
Exactly. Doing flips, becoming a landlord. So, that's always been my big thing. I'm trying to think when it kind of took off. I think when I started working during the crash. I actually made more money in the crash.
Did you?
Than my previous years, or maybe a few years after, because I was able to adjust my business.
Okay.
A lot of people don't see that.
It took me a long time to adjust. Yeah. I almost exited. It was like this close.
Wow. Yeah. So a lot of people. I actually went to Miami for like a year and a half, and then I came back, and all these foreclosures were hitting, and I was introduced to this one investor, and then after that, it kind of took off. And I was like, wow, this is a niche that I have that I'm pretty good at.
Yeah.
So,
So tell us about that. Yeah, I mean, you came back and you were kind of like, oh my God, what the hell just happened? And then you kind of adjusted quickly?
yeah, like all these short sales and, you know, all these foreclosures hitting the market. So the investors were out there, you know. So I got partnered up with this one investor through a home inspector, actually. He goes, call this guy. He's looking to buy a lot of stuff, comes from a very wealthy family, and he's a good guy.
Nice.
So I reached out to the guy. I got an appointment like that weekend with him. He was so nice on the phone. And after that, next you know, 100+ deals, rentals. We
Amazing.
did everything. I was involved with everything. Sale, construction, rentals, and then unloading.
Yeah. So it was a multifaceted deal that you
Yep.
had with him.
I was working 7 days a week,
Wow.
nonstop, unhealthy, not going to the gym.
Yeah. That's
so-
what a lot of people kind of end up doing, right? They kind of crash and burn.
Yep.
How did you figure out you were going down too fast? You were going, you know, putting your priorities weren't in order.
Yeah.
When did you figure that
I
out?
felt like something was going on with my blood pressure. Driving, got sick one day. I was in Elizabeth Port looking at a foreclosure once, got out, got super sick, like had to go to like the emergency room.
Wow.
And they were like, you know, you're just working yourself to death. You got to take it easy. You got to take care of yourself. So that's when I learned, you know what, I got to start working smarter. Maybe start building a team.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. At what point did you create a team, or did you go right to being a broker?
Yeah. So I went to work for an REO office. And then after that, that's when I went to Hudson County. And, you know, still a real estate agent, but I started hiring assistants and maybe delegating some of the buyers I was working with.
Okay.
Because I was still working with investors. And then it's funny how things are. The broker in Hudson County was super sick. And they decided to sell the business.
Okay.
And they approached me. And I was like, I never wanted to be a broker, man. I just wanted to be an agent, make money, you know.
Keep it moving.
Yep, exactly. So that was my opportunity. And that's when things started changing. And, you know, once you become a broker owner,
not going back.
you got to be a leader, man.
Yeah.
You got to, you know, you got to train, right? You got to, exactly. There's nothing, you're not going back. So I could never go back. And, you know, that's where I am today. You know, I'm now in the middle of moving to North Bergen, actually. We just acquired a new space.
Nice.
Bigger office, retail location. I'll be right on Bergen Line Ave, which I'm very excited
Amazing.
about. Yeah.
Yeah, so tell us, what transition did you have to make in your mind when you became a broker? What were the things you had to learn and adjust to?
Oh my God, the patience with the agents. You know,
What's that about?
man, the personalities, the questions. You expect them to know that, and you know, obviously everybody's different. You know, and they could be the silliest things in the world.
Yeah.
But you know, that was pretty hard for me. You know, dealing with that and being more patient, because I've always been the type of guy. Let's get it done, move, fast. You know, that was probably the hardest thing for me.
Yeah, but you became a broker, and you had two challenges going on. First, you became a broker. You're kind of forced into the position. But secondly, you're also in a county that you weren't familiar with that much. So you kind of had to adjust in both situations. So how was that? How was it different in Hudson County?
I remember that. Like when I first went to Jersey City, I was sitting at the desk. I was like, you know what? I wanted to do more work in Jersey City, just that whole area. And that's an adjustment. Like when, you know, I was working Essex County a lot, Union County, that was my bread and butter right there.
Yeah.
So it's just a transition period, little by little. And then I started noticing the type of buyers in Hudson County were completely different.
Yeah.
You know, you're getting executives from Manhattan, so then I said, you know what, this is like being back in corporate America a little bit. So I took a little step back and just stopped going 90 miles an hour.
Yeah.
And just started focusing a little more on the buyer itself.
Okay.
Not all of them were looking to buy 10 or 20 properties, that's what I was used to. They were just buying for themselves to live, their family. So it was a transition period, but you know, eventually I got it. I started, you know, mingling more with brokers in that area, agents in that area. And, you know, just like when you start in the business, they just show you the ropes. So
is that how you broke into the market? Because Hudson County is a very difficult market for an agent to adapt to.
Yeah.
Is it more relationship based? Is that what you had to do?
Relationship, and I had to, you know, plant my flag somehow. So I started doing a lot of networking up there. I started picking up listings little by little.
Okay.
And then it kind of took off. So
they're not too inviting, the agents from up there. They don't want to see
you know,
a new
they
face,
say the
right?
same thing about the agents over here.
Oh,
You know,
really?
it's just kind of funny.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I was talking to somebody about that recently, a broker owner. She's like, yeah, they're like nasty. And I'm like, dude, they say the same thing about you. They say the same thing about Essex County. So You know what? It's Lou. It's all about adjustments. You know, it's like when I go to Puerto Rico and I'm talking. We were just having a conversation about buying properties, and the brokers over there are completely different.
Tell me about that.
You know,
More laid back?
it's a different animal over there. You know, they don't like. They just got the MLS.
Okay.
You know, they always had some kind of MLS, and it was Canadian.
Oh, wow.
So they actually now partnered up with Florida. So they use Florida MLS.
Nice.
And the agents do not want to put the listings in the MLS. So they don't want to share the data. They want to double end everything.
Sure.
So I went to some seminars over there and some of the meetings, and I was invited to speak, and I was trying to explain to them like the benefit. But they just not trying to hear it.
What, is it more, do they have a board there, or is it kind of just
They
a
do
Wild West?
board, yeah, but you know, it's like
It's still
kinda-
NAR?
It's still NAR. Then they have, you know, obviously whatever they do at the state level.
Okay.
But man, I could tell you some stories of the things I heard. Is
There's
like
a whole
crazy.
pocket listing thing going on now too. Are they going to feel the pinch when it comes to that?
I hope so. I hope so. And you know what? They just need to realize it's going to help their business. It's going to expand. Like if I was over there, I would want to work from people from the States that are investing there, you know, because they're probably rich and they got rich friends, and you know, you want to get into that market. You'll make more money.
I think it needs to be a generational mind shift. I think the old school real estate agents from Puerto Rico, they don't care what you're preaching. You know, they have their set ways of doing it. I think the new agents have to come in and kind of set the new trend for the upcoming, you know, new flow of agents that are coming in.
Absolutely. And let me tell you, there's some really good agents that I met there, but some of them, I was just kind of shocked. Like, actually, the guy that sold me the condo in San Juan is Felix Trinidad's brother.
Wow.
He's a broker owner over there. He's a great guy, very knowledgeable. So it's, you know, it's just like over here. You got your bad agents, you got your good agents, right?
Is it more mom and pop agencies in
There's
Puerto
a lot
Rico?
of mom and pop, I noticed. But now they have Remax. They have, well, Remax has been around Century 21. You got Sotheby's. Who else? Well, there's some of the big Coal Banker, obviously.
So basically Realogy and Remax so far.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
Oh, I see. Are a lot more people shifting in that direction, or are they still more?
You know, I still
primarily-
see a lot of mom and pop.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I like that. I like
Yeah,
seeing that.
Yeah. And they're very old school. They're all about relationships. And honestly, I when I went to do my home inspection, the broker that sold me that house, she'd never done a home inspection. She told me in 30 years. I was like, what? Really? So now on Facebook, you see that's a big thing now. So I see it is changing.
Oh, wow.
Now you see home inspectors, they're posting stuff, which is good.
So it was not typical for a buyer to do a home inspection on a house when they buy in
No,
Puerto Rico?
You know, Latinos, they bring their uncle, they bring their cousin who's
Their
in the
contractor.
construction, big contractor.
Yeah.
That wall is good. This is fine. You know, that's the way they were operating.
That's
So
interesting.
there's no CO inspections.
Yeah.
You know,
I notice in a lot of Latin countries, there aren't too many home sales. They kind of generation from generation pass on the house to the next. Is that changing now in Puerto Rico? Is it more becoming more
Definitely.
Americanized?
So the one thing that was interesting, like I don't know the data off the top of my head. Pride of ownership in Puerto Rico is huge.
Okay.
The numbers are larger than, for example, here in New Jersey. I don't know what the numbers are right now, but you know, when you get married, you're expected to buy a house. You know, that's the Puerto Rican dream, and grow, you know, raise your family and things like that.
It's a lot more affordable in Puerto Rico to begin with, though.
Right now it is, yeah, absolutely. You know, they don't get killed like we do with taxes.
Property
I'll tell you
tax.
that, you know.
Okay. Is there a property tax?
So they call it cream. It's not like a property tax, but that's equivalent, I guess, to your property tax. So, for example, for my house, I think I pay $2,000 and change a year.
Okay.
Which is a great deal.
Yeah.
So, and it's only because I'm from the States. If I was a resident there, I would not pay that.
If you're a resident there, which means you'd have to live there 6 months out of the year at least, right?
Exactly.
What would it be
so
then?
You know
It
about
would-
all that. You've done your
I haven't
homework.
been looking into it or anything, no. Yeah, that's awesome, man. That's really good. So there's a cultural shift going on in the real estate market down there, and it looks like they're starting to kind of catch up, which is a big opportunity, I think, for brands that are going down there from the States because,
Absolutely.
there's a big market, and I feel like you said, we spoke about this earlier, I do feel like there's a migration going into that part of the country.
Yeah, man, we got to change, you know, the mindset. You know, we were talking about that earlier. It's like you got to stop thinking about these are my listings and I need to sell them, and let's get out of that. And let's share the listings. Let's create some relationships. You know,
Yeah.
I think we need to do a better as Latinos. We need to do a better job with that also.
Yeah.
I saw Alex Rodriguez speak recently, and you know, he's big into real estate.
Yes.
And that was the one thing he spoke about. He's like, You know, Asians do a very good job with that. The Indian community does a very good job with
Jewish
that.
people as well. You know
Right?
that.
They're probably the pioneers,
Yeah.
right? But Latinos need to do a better job with that, where we work more together
As a unit.
as a unit.
Absolutely.
How many times do we call a listing agent and they got an attitude about us wanting to show their listing?
Yeah, I see
Right.
it a lot.
Still happening to this day.
Yeah, I see it. I definitely see it. Yeah, I think when they're going to figure it out in Puerto Rico is when they're not benefiting the client by doing that. And that's their fiduciary duty, is to make sure that the clients receive the most for the home and get the most exposure. When that kind of starts to kind of sink into their mind, and they're going to have to do it because of that, but then they're going to see like, oh, I just sold double the amount of homes I did last year. Maybe I made a little bit less, but maybe I kept a little bit less initially from each deal. But overall, I had a bigger year than I ever have because I moved more units. Plus,
Sure.
that means that I can free up more time to do more
Exactly.
properties.
I mean, and then it gives you more exposure, right?
Yeah.
As an agent, as a broker. I can tell you how many times I try to get information on a property and I reach out to the broker.
Yeah.
No phone calls back, no emails.
Yeah.
And I have to actually type authoritative email saying, this is the third email I sent you about this property. I've tried to call you, no response. They call me like a week or 2 weeks later.
Yeah.
Shouldn't be like that.
Yeah. So tell us about your brokerage. You're a franchise.
Yep.
You're a franchisee. Tell us about that.
Yep. So Next Home is the franchise that I own. I actually just changed my name. It's Next Home Prime.
Okay.
Because I'm going to North Bergen now. I wanted to do something fresh, something new. And I have 21 agents, somewhere around there right now,
Yeah.
under my belt. I have a lot of law enforcement that work in my office, believe it or not.
Because that one attracts the other. Is that the way it works?
Yeah, that happens, and I think it's a great deal for them. They all they do is sell to cops, and they sell to people they have relationship with in the community.
And they have a lot of time on their hands, right? They do like the 3 day on, 4 days off.
Yeah,
or
it
vice
depends what
versa.
type of position they have. So that's kind of unique, and I actually have a lot of agents that are from New York originally. And I don't know if it's because I'm from New York also, and when we kind of
Vibe well.
exactly.
Yeah.
I got some agents from Brooklyn. I just hired 2 agents from Staten Island. But, the brokerage, the agents are doing well, and I think I have a very good relationship with them. If I don't have a good relationship with my agents, it's not a good fit.
Yeah.
We need to move part ways, basically.
I hear you. Question I have for you as a broker: how do you help your agents be more productive and more successful in real estate?
It's probably the hardest part of our job, right? The hardest thing is consistency in the business,
Yeah.
right? People get their license and they treat it like I can get up whenever I want. I can go show a property whenever I want. If you just make that small adjustment and you treat it like if you're going to a corporate job where you got to be there from 9 to 5, you wouldn't be able to go to the gym during those hours, right? Yeah. So you got to wake up earlier, the way we do it.
Sure.
I don't know what time you go super early in the morning, right? Get that out of the way. That's the hardest thing, probably.
is.
And then after that, you got your whole day to work on your business. So that's one thing I try to teach them a lot. The training, I think everybody knows products. They learn the technology very well. It's not that hard. It's actually easier now, right?
Yeah,
Especially everything is digital. So the sales training is probably the hardest thing.
For us.
Exactly. But we're in a people business. You're not going to be able to create relationships and sell while being on Facebook all day or being on Instagram. And I'm not against that for our business. I think it's a huge help.
Yeah.
That's how I get buyers from New York that I went to school with, believe it or not. I'm closing one on Friday. Very excited. Went to junior high school with her.
Nice.
But I think that's the hardest part, teaching them that. If you want to do open houses every weekend, I don't suggest it. Break it up. If you're gonna do one open house, one per month, what do you do in the other weekends? You should be showing properties, or you got to network, local community stuff. That's the biggest thing. Like as far as training goes with my agents, how do you take your business to that next level?
Yeah.
Instead of doing 3 to 6 deals a year, what are you going to do to get to 12, 15 deals per year?
Yeah.
And working smart.
Yeah. That's great, man. I think one of the things that I learned as a broker is that you can only help the ones that want to be helped.
Yep.
You can't help everyone.
You're absolutely
and you can't
right.
help people show up once every 6 months and say, what do I do?
Yeah.
It's a waste of our time too, and it's disrespectful because they're not serious, so why are they wasting our time? But they see themselves out. I'm sure you see, obviously exit patterns at the end of the year when a nice license needs to get renewed or the board needs to get renewed. They do weed themselves out.
Yep.
And this business is not a job. Some people come in and are like, oh my God, I have to pay for that? I'm like, yes, you're a business. You don't have expenses when you open a business. Yes, this is not a 9-to-5 job where you can collect a check. Yes, you have to pay for things. So it just, sometimes it just gets me a little bit, I wouldn't say it gets me a little bit confused why they even went for their license.
Yeah. A lot of it is TV stuff, the hype about being a real estate agent, having a license. They all think they're going to make $1 million and be rich, right, once they get a license.
Sure.
Man, it's a lot of work.
It is.
And it doesn't happen overnight.
No.
I'm a huge baseball fan, and I always use this example. They want to hit a grand slam in the bottom of the ninth every time they come up to bat with one pitch. It doesn't work like that.
No, man.
Sometimes you got a bunt, sometimes you got a single, right?
Sometimes you got to walk.
And they train. Those guys train, man, throughout the year. And they started when they were, 6 years old, 7 years old.
They don't mess around.
Real estate's the same way, man. You got to train. You got to maybe get your niche going. Some people are just fantastic with first-time home buyers, They create that bond.
Yeah.
That's the most important decision that family's going to make or that person's going to make, right?
Absolutely.
So, my big thing has always been like that example. I have families that I work with. I've sold houses to their sons, their cousins, their friends,
The
right?
entire family.
It becomes your referral source. Just imagine if you get a lot of those.
Yeah. So what do you have planned for the future now? I mean, you're reestablishing your business further up north in Hudson County.
Yep.
Any plans of possibly going to Puerto Rico and doing an office down there?
Yeah, I have it on my to-do list.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
absolutely.
that sounds great, man.
Yeah,
Tell me, how would you manage that?
Yeah, so the good thing is I have a house there, right?
Okay.
So I can go back and forth, and I have enough miles now where I fly sometimes for free. And
Okay.
That's been the advantage I have. I already have a commitment from the CEO. Whenever you're ready to go, we obviously have to look into it, the franchise disclosures, how all that stuff works out. The first thing he asked me was about the MLS. I said, well, the good thing is now they're part of the Florida MLS.
Yes.
So we got that out of the way.
Yeah.
So we have to see, I've always been the type of person, if I'm hot somewhere, I like to stick with it, write it out as much as I can. And then if I got to make an adjustment, then I can start looking into other things.
Absolutely.
But, Puerto Rico, I'm very interested. And I'm still interested in New York, just because I was born and raised there. But it's kind of hard to go into Manhattan and to the other boroughs,
So when you say New York, are you envisioning Manhattan, Brooklyn, Bronx?
I would want to be in Manhattan.
Okay.
So, because that's, I grew up in the city my entire life.
Okay. How would you break in? Because talk about Hudson County being tough. New York has to be the hardest market in the world.
Absolutely. So our franchise has an office in Manhattan right now. I would probably meet with that broker owner first, maybe start there. And the first people I would reach out to is everybody I went to school with, people I grew up with, the neighborhood people that I know and stuff like that. That's where I would start.
Yeah.
But as you know, everybody from New York is coming to Jersey right now.
Yeah, there's big migration pattern
Oh my
coming
God.
this way.
The Elizabeth Port, they're all New York buyers. It's
Yeah,
amazing.
I've noticed. So tell me about that. So Manhattan, they're really not MLS based, right? They're more kind of a pocket listing.
Yep.
And how is that gonna change because now NAR is requiring the agents to put everything on
That
the
should
MLS?
be interesting, right?
Yeah. Are they adapting to it, or are they exempt from that?
So this pocket listing, it's something, I haven't read much about it, but my thing is, how much manpower do they have to monitor
To enforce that?
Yeah. That's
And what are the fines that are going to be given out? Are they slap on the wrist?
Yeah.
Because for New Yorkers, they charge me $100 for not doing it.
Yeah, exactly. You know that to go pick up a key to show a property, you may have to leave a $100 bill in New York,
Oh, wow.
and agents do it all the time.
And they just don't return the key.
It's like nothing, It's so that should be interesting, because I think Staten Island has an MLS, Long Island has an MLS.
I think Manhattan might very well have one.
They just don't use it.
Yeah, I could see. I don't see why they wouldn't have one. But it is its own animal. That I've
Absolutely,
noticed.
absolutely.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, man, I wish you luck. Those are some big endeavors you have planned.
Yeah,
out.
I got a long checklist, and step by step.
Yeah.
I got a family now. I got 2 young babies, so you just gotta, whatever you do, whatever I do, it's got to be smart.
Yeah. So before we let you go, can you explain to us what your average day looks like, a productive day?
Wow. So I wake up super early. My 3-year-old is going to school now.
Nice. Congratulations.
So she gets up early, That's part of my routine. Sometimes I go to the gym before that, or I go after she gets on the school bus. It depends how my schedule is, my calendar for the day. Then you hit the road. Like today, for example, I got to go to City Hall in Newark.
Okay.
So that's going to be a two-hour trip right
fun.
there. Right? Park, go into City Hall. I have a CO inspection tomorrow, and they give me a 9 to 4 window, and it's a mixed-use property.
Yeah.
So we got to get that narrowed down so I can get in touch with the tenants and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So that right there will take a couple hours today, you know, and you're doing a lot of that work from the car, and you got to coordinate with the seller, et cetera. But it's a combination of things. So, you know, I'm still doing REO work with Fannie.
Okay.
So we have inspections involved with that. Now we're doing construction on all Fannie properties. Every property is being fixed.
Okay.
So I'm constantly meeting with contractors, you know, discussing what kind of repairs we're going to do for the property. And in between, you might be showing the property. You're catching up on the emails. Is hard, man.
It's tough. Hundreds a day.
Yeah. So I usually finish that late at night. After the babies go to bed, I check every single email, and I try to respond to every single email. It might not be at the moment, but that's it. I never have a set schedule because I'm very active as a broker. I'm still working out there. It's different every day. I don't work with buyers as much as I used to, and I want to. Mostly on the listing side now. So, you know, I check on my listings, coordinate showings. The one thing that I do have now is a good back office.
That's great.
Yeah,
you need that.
It's so important. And then I realize how important, and have good people, man, that are just going to look like they look at it like you're looking at it.
Yeah.
So it's a combination of things. It's kind of hard to answer that question. You know, it's just so many things that get thrown at you, and, you know, dealing with the agents and, you know, those overpriced listings.
Oh, yeah, of course. It's a lot. What time of the day do you call it quits and you go back home to the family?
Last night, you know, I try to get home. I like to have dinner with my family.
It's important. Balance.
That's super important. Yeah. So I usually walk in the door between 6 and 7.
Okay, that's nice.
Yeah.
Awesome.
I'm not going to lie, sometimes.
So it could be later.
You know how it is. Yeah.
Networking events and things like that.
But my 2 girls are young. They're 1 and 3, so I like to sit at the dinner. You know, last night, Alcania made salmon, and, you know, we had a nice dinner, all 4 of us. So.
Yeah, that's amazing. You ever think back to the day and like, how did I manage all that today? Like, how did I, you know, even...
Like right now...
It's crazy, like a blur.
Yeah, right now, I just went like super fast, and I'm like super busy again because I got the office built out.
Yeah.
We started off the year, thank God, like very good. We had a lot of closings this month.
Nice.
So we want to keep that momentum going.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of all over the place, but, you know, you stay healthy, and you I'll tell you one thing, you got to work out because that energy.
You need that, man.
You need
People
that
think
energy.
it's just like fluff and nonsense, but it's probably the reason why I'm able to do what I do. And the same thing for you is you got to be healthy. You got to eat right.
Exactly.
Yeah, man.
I know you've been a gym rat right?
I love taking care of your body is number one. You know, before you take care of anything else. I feel because
keeps your mind sane. It's a lot of things behind it. You know, it's not just like you said. You know,
healthy body, healthy mind.
Exactly.
That's the way it works. Well, I really appreciate having you on today, Lionel. And
thanks for having me, man.
Your story is definitely very unique in its way, where, you know, you've come into this business trying to create a better environment for real estate agents, and now you're trying to replicate that in Puerto Rico as well. And God knows you might very well do that very soon. So I can't wait to see what happens and unfolds. And any last words you'd like to leave for our audience, or maybe you can let them know how they can get in touch with you or your office? Absolutely. My cell number, best way, 917-524-6111. I always return phone calls, text messages. I might not get back to you at the moment, but, you know, obviously eventually I will. And my email, the short version, is lionel@lcreal.com. Thank you, brother. Really appreciate you having you on. Thank you. And thank you, everyone, for watching. This has been another episode of Industry Icons, and we'll see you next time.